I am spamming the switch, instantly looking to pivot out, and my, what a thing to see in the back. I heard a little rumour that Jumpluff's back this season, well, not for long, because Dewgong about to have his wicked way. We need to be mindful the opponent might look to make a catch attempt unsuccessful. We see the Fairy Wind go through, Icy Wind forces the opponent's final Protect Shield. They go for the catch unsuccessful, feeding the energy for the next Icy Wind, and that is going to be all she wrote. Welcome back to the channel. Normal service has resumed with your boy Jamie Finn back showcasing all the latest Shadow Pokemon, starting with Dewgong. I'll be honest, Dewgong was a Pokemon I had my reservations about because it's kind of slow, kind of bulky, and not really my playstyle. However, let me tell you that 20% additional Shadow bonus, this thing actually hits insanely hard. Before we get into the video, I'm sure someone has already commented as soon as I posted this, how did you get such great IVs as soon as the event dropped? Let me tell you, my IVs are by no means great. They are a big fat middle finger. It's not the best rank, but I don't really care. I invested 2 Elite TMs and headed to battle. With all that being said, without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game 1, we lead Shadow Sableye into Shadow Typhlosion, a truly terrifying Pokemon. Something Dewgong doesn't particularly want to see. The opponent actually attempts to catch. I'm not entirely sure how you're going to catch their trainer. I am not throwing on alignment. Of course, using a 2-turn move like Shadow Claw into 5-turn Incinerate, ideally you want to throw 2 quick moves, 7, potentially 4 if you're kind of in a tricky spot, but I am never ever throwing on 5. This is by no means a good matchup for Dewgong, but there is method in the madness. Keep it far, far away from that Typhlosion. Debuff the shit out this Licky far too thick. It's already got a non-existent attack stat, and go for the world's most aggressive quick attack farm down. Of course, Dewgong is the featured Pokemon, and in battle number 1, it doesn't look like it's doing much of anything. However, complete transparency, unlike a lot of other content creators, I always post my battles in the order I play them, so you can kind of see how I figure the team out and what Dewgong can actually do, rather than put all its best bits right at the start and be like, fucking hell, the best Pokemon ever. I think this British heatwave's really gone to my head, as we're not even halfway through battle number 1, and I've already gone off on the first mad tangent of the day of what will probably be plenty more to come. Out comes Feraligatr, the first Scorching Sands of over half their health, meaning the second is going to knock out or force the first protection of the game. Ball in the opponent's court. The opponent looks at 2-shield Typhlosion, and I guess unfortunately for the opponent, as I've opted to throw, I already see my wink on. They can save them shields for next season. Sableye looks for the Shadow Claw farm down, which we're able to get. Diggersby is still alive, and we're able to take that game. In the next battle, an absolutely awful lead, and what makes matters even worse, every time we see Shadow Mighty in the lead, you can bet your final buck, or whatever your local currency is, that the opponent's going to have some kind of nonsense RPS backline. Well, at least I thought they would. They actually don't, as Quagsire, pretty flexible Pokemon. I'm not entirely sure why they Poison Fang there. It's a commanding matchup for them, and I've kind of wasted energy, but I am not complaining. I guess I can kind of see what the opponent was thinking there. I guess after landing the Poison Fang, they only need a single Aqua Tail, despite being non-shadow, to knock out my Diggersby. The opponent lands the Stone Edge. Of course, I'm never shielding Sableye. We've got an awful matchup into that Mighty Enna. Well, I say awful, of course I am running Dazzling Gleam that no one expects. Opponent invested protection. I thought about catching out, however, then I thought better of it. There's no point in losing any HP on Dewgong whatsoever, as we know the opponent's got fast food pressure. We get the perfect Ice Shard farm down. You absolutely love to see it. Back out comes Mighty Enna. We throw 3 Ice Shards and the Drill Run. Drill Run will be lethal or force to final protection. Down goes Mighty Enna, and out comes Tinkaton. Let's go, Dewgong. This is your time to shine. Dewgong fires off yet another Drill Run. Drill Run, non-stab, but monstrous damage, and this looks signed, sealed, and delivered. This is almost certainly going to be a Bulldoze bait right on cue. There is the Bulldoze bait. My only lose con will be tanking the hammer to the face. This can only be a Bulldoze. They debuffed me the first time, but despite this, Dewgong is still going to withstand the next Bulldoze, 1 Ice Shard, and the Drill Run for optimal fast return. The opponent's only win con now is looking to Fairy Wind farm me down. Dewgong says, in your dreams, princess. Fires off the next Drill Run, removing that stupid Stinky Binky from the field of play, and we take that game. Of course, few OGs, you know that the original Stinky Binky was Carbink, but that thing is pretty non-existent nowadays. In the next battle, we see Dewgong in the lead position. Unfortunately, no Power Gem. If I had it, you better believe we were going to YOLO. I set up for the foul play, then catch out onto my own Dewgong. Dewgong is now debuffed, but that did not do much of anything. In a scenario like this, when the opponent's opting to stay in, when they are very, very far behind, you've kind of got to call the opponent doesn't have a great answer. That becomes very apparent as they switch out into the Pancake, but it's very, very late and I've got a huge energy lead. I could have actually threw the Drill on there at poor timing, but I wasn't entirely sure it would knock out. So instead, we commit to good timing, invest 1 Protect Shield, go for the correct 1 Ice Shard and the Drill Run. A Drill Run still isn't quite lethal. We are going to pivot onto Diggersby and look to start getting ahead in energy. Switch time was heavily misaligned, but after this moves up, the opponent should be able to pivot back out into Dewgong. Right on cue, Dewgong re-enters the arena, and we're guaranteeing our shield back or the knockout. We fire off the Scorching Sands. Scorching Sands does force the shield. The opponent can literally throw whatever they want. The regular variant of Dewgong just hits like somewhat of a wet noodle. I'm going to fire off yet another Scorching Sands as debuffed. I wasn't sure Fire Punch would knock out. Scorching Sands certainly does. I'm looking to pivot out into Dewgong, and my, what a thing to see in the back, and out comes Jumpluff. I knew they were weak, and they are so fucking weak. It is unbelievable. We pause, ensuring the Icy Wind lands on its intended target. Double super effect. The opponent obliged to put up the final protection. They attempt the catch, feed the energy for the next Icy Wind. Dewgong gonna absolutely clap the back line, and we're gonna take that game. GG's, and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle, we see Marowak in the lead position, a former meta staple, however, very much fallen from grace after the nerf to Mud Slap. The opponent throws on alignment, and I say thank you very much for the extra Shadow Claw. I'm then going to have to look to fire off one and the foul play. The opponent actually pivot onto Corviknight. That wasn't actually a catch, I saw it coming in. However, the thought process is, if I can just put them in a range where a singular Fire Punch knocks out, I'm in a very, very nice position, and I've certainly done that, and I've actually rebanked my foul play in the process. The opponent fires off the payback, and I think Corviknight is very much better in its shadow form. Not that I've actually got a good one yet, but you can see that payback was absolutely pitiful. I'm sure I overfarmed enough to outpace Marowak to the Scorching Sands once again, guaranteeing my Protect Shield back or knocking him out. The opponent obliges, putting up that Protect Shield, and they are going to be forced to throw. Bone Club, of course, from this range, a Shadow and Shadow Climb, a very easy knockout. I'm going to send out Sableye. I actually throw two here, anticipating the opponent, just letting it go, so I don't take the next mod slap. The opponent actually chooses to invest a Protect Shield, and that kind of works for me once again when I trust in Dewgong to clean up. Dewgong should be able to Ice Shard farm down before the rock sides reach, and that is certainly the case. This is only a Bone Club. I'm going to tank it. Despite being Shadow and Shadow Climb, I'm calling the opponent is going to have something that will hit harder in the back. Out comes Shadow Sableye, and with a shield advantage, this should be GG. As you can see, double drill run, easily going to knock out. I'd likely go for a Drain Punch, looking to buff up their defense, but at this point it's simply too little too late. Right on cue, there is said Drain Punch, but I have no doubt, even with buffed up defense, Dewgong going to knock out the Sableye, and we're going to take that game. In the next battle, we see the Shadow Sableye Mirror. I'm sure a lot of you know mine's a perfect 0-15-15. I've never won a charge attack priority in my bloody life. We are actually running somewhat of an ABB team, so I'm actually going to look to pivot out into Diggersby. The opponent fire off the foul play, and then send out Grumpig. Grumpig, somewhat of a problematic Pokemon for my backline, so nice to bait it out here. I say somewhat of an ABB team. Of course, we've got a dual weakness. We are double weak to fighting in the back, so Diggersby looks to bait out any potential fighting type, clearing the path of Dewgong to hopefully clean up. Here I had a decision to make. Didn't want to throw on Grumpig, or don't want to go for the one shield and get all the energy in the world. I actually opted for the one shield, full farm down. You can see we're very close to back-to-back charge moves. Out comes Tinkaton. And this game not looking too hot. We are down a protection. We haven't got the alignment we want either. Pretty much everyone, other than myself, is running Drain Punch, which is not great when you've got two things weak to fight in. Have a Drain Punch, a pretty shit move, despite being buffed, doesn't really do too much damage, especially when Pokemon not getting same type attack bonus. I'm not entirely sure how I intend to win this game. I guess go for some kind of combo play and bank as much energy as I physically can. Finally, switch timer does pop up. We're able to go for an attempted snipe. Have the opponent still got a shield to hide behind? I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to get rid of that shield. I guess best case scenario, we can put them into drill run range, but the opponent very smartly throw just before the next foul play is reached, and I think they're going to keep themselves outside of drill run range. There is the hammer, guaranteeing the knockout. We are going to reach back-to-back drill runs. You can see the last one, or in the last battle I should say, it did around 50%. I'm not entirely sure this is going to knock out unless it's the world's worst Tinkaton, but unfortunately it is not, and we're going to get Fairy Wind farm down and take a heartbreaking loss. GG's to that opponent. Oof, tough lead. Fearow, much like Pokemon like Pidgeot, part normal, meaning they double resist my quick move of Shadow Claw. With that in mind, we say switch into Diggersby. This is kind of the idea of running Quick Attack as opposed to Mud Shot. Despite Mud Shot being rebuffed, I think last season or season before, generating more energy. I like the neutral Quick Attacks. You can see they are absolutely chunking against all these bloody common flyers. Diggersby looking to make the best of a bad situation, actually gets Fearow deep into the red, but the opponent has overfarmed. I'm hoping I can Ice Shard farm down before they reach another charge move, but unfortunately I cannot. Fearow hits like a truck, so I'm going to opt to invest the Protect Shield. I actually go for the drill run, not entirely sure why. Out comes Bastiodon, fuck me. What season is this? Who put this stupid brick wall on my screen? We fire off the drill run. Double super effective, not even doing half their health, which is kind of absurd. Out comes Marowak. Sableye fires off the foul play, forcing the opponent's final protection at this point. I've already decided that in Dewgong, I believe. Hopefully we can Ice Shard farm him all the way down before the opponent is able to switch out. That Bastiodon is going to be 2 smackdowns off the stone edge. So we need to leave, at worst, 1 off. There's 1. I think I am 1 off. Please tell me I'm 1 off. Please, 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 please be 1 off. Oh, baby. We are 1 off. Able to reach yet another drill run. We do not lose to Bastiodon today, trainer. GG's. What the absolute hell is this on my screen? Actually, I love camera up. Camera up was so much fun to use. I'm going to fire off 7 Shadow Claws and the foul play. Then go over 2 Shadow Claws and hope to catch a Rock Tomb onto Diggersby. We actually end up simultaneous swapping, and this actually works out very nice for me unless they had Hail Mary Solar Beam, which evidently they don't. They didn't even farm up to it. I think it's kind of crazy how few people are using Diggersby right now. I think it is a fantastic anti-meta pick. Licky Licky was number 1. It's now number 2 because of Mimikyu, and Diggersby beats both them top meta threats. The thing is, you don't actually have to beat everything. All you've got to beat is what you commonly see. I expect to see Mimikyu a lot. And actually, after 10 sets, I've not seen a single one. This team was very, very strong into Mimikyu. We built for it. We didn't see it. We still went very positive on the day. We are able to shore up that mid-game matchup. Out comes Kingdra, of course, definitely not baiting. With a double-resisted fire punch, we fire off the Scorching Sands. Scorching Sands able to land. Quick switch into Sableye. Sableye fires off the foul play. Force the opponent's final protection. The opponent is going to get a massive Dragon Breath farm down. But unless they've got Outrage, let's be honest, even if they've got Outrage, they're non-Shadow. I don't really give a shit. The opponent pivots out into camera up. They're now at 100 energy, so logically here, they should throw back to back. The opponent fires off the Rock Tomb. Look to throw 1 extra Incinerate, and that is going to cost them. Dewgong catches them in the middle of the Incinerate animation at this point. Trainer, if you've got Outrage, you enjoy yourself. Come on, trainer, show me the big move. Of course you haven't got it. That Swift did pathetic damage. Dewgong Ice Shard farms down, and we take that game. Are you kidding me? Another Bastiodon. Where have these bloody Wallface come from? I think this is the one and only matchup where I wish I had Drain Punch, as it would be double super effective and also buff up my defense, meaning these smackdowns were doing less damage. However, I still think Dazzling Gleam is objectively better. Or even Power Gem to YOLO all the common flies, just something that does real damage. We're able to catch the Stone Edge onto Diggersby, and out comes Shadow Vic. Grasshole in 2026. Really? Really? Grasshole? Oh my days, we don't even reach another Fire Punch. I send out Sableye instantly, and I don't want the opponent to pivot this thing bloody out. Please don't be bloody double Razor Leaf. If this is double Razor Leaf, I am cooked. We fire off the foul play that thankfully does go unshielded. We pivot out into Dewgong, and it's Wigglytuff in the back. I had a decision to make, and the decision I made was I don't want to take any smackdown damage whatsoever. I want to keep as much HP as I physically can. The alternative route would be overfarm as much as I physically can, meaning I could heavily outpace this Wigglytuff. But I think HP is going to be more important. We fire off the Icy Wind, which the opponent doesn't shield. Are you kidding me? Okay. What are they saving that shield for? And at this point, we're just going to go for the far smooth beatdown, and the opponent can save 1 shield for next season. What an absolute nonsense team. Oh, I don't know what to say. Heading into the next battle. In the next battle, we see Malamar in the lead position. A nice matchup for me. As we get the neutral of our Shadow Claws, and we double resist the quick move of Psywave that normally chunks as Dark double resist Psychic, the opponent save switches into Seeking, we land the foul play and then pivot out into Dewgong. I'm hoping after landing 1 foul play, we can tank back-to-back drill runs and fully Ice Shard farm down. That definitely looks to be the case. You can see throughout this showcase today that Dewgong, even in its Shadow form, still has very, very respectable bulk. And unlike the normal version of Dewgong, we actually have a decent offensive pressure to the Ice Shard, really chunk, and our charge moves actually do real damage. You can see Dewgong's bulk once again, coming in clutch, able to reach the drill run. I didn't actually know that I'd reached an Icy Wind. If I knew it was going to be at the same time, I would have spammed the Icy Wind, forcing yet another debuff, but it is what it is. Even though we're only actually able to force 1 debuff there, we still tank the foul play very, very respectably. I attempt to catch the next foul play onto Diggersby, baiting out Togekiss, and once again, this is where quick attack comes in clutch. My big fat bunny has charged moves contend with here, there and everywhere. Aura Spears from Togekiss and superpowers from that Malamar, so I'm in quite a tricky endgame scenario. I did have a 2-to-1 shield advantage, but I'm very quickly about to lose them. You can see I was trying to switch out, but switch timer simply wasn't up. I'm going to invest the final Protect Shield, call the combo play. Okay, please tell me that's a superpower. Okay, come on Sableye, farm down, farm down. Oh, we don't farm down. But they are now at -1, meaning we should tank this superpower, which we do very, very easily. The quick attack goes through. We've got the fire punch locked and loaded, and we just about escaped with a dub. GG's to my opponent. In the next battle, we see Quagsire in the lead position. It'd be nice to catch an Aquatal onto Dewgong, but quite a risky play, as if we're unsuccessful, we might end up getting Stone Edge to the face. It's actually my opponent that goes for the catch, sending out Licky far too thicky, and once again Jamie Finn with that massive brain, absolutely hard punishing all these basic meta slaves. You keep sending out PV pokes, former #1 ranked pick on the save switch, and I'll keep hard punishing it with the big fat bunny. Earthquake actually makes this matchup kind of close. However, I know I survived at yet another one. I want to leave minimal farm for that Quagsire. The opponent fires off the Earthquake, actually catch onto Quagsire, and that works for me. Rather than counter swap, I'm just going to stay in, concede the mud shot, farm down. I've got a foul play bank and see what the opponent wants to do. Does the opponent want to invest the first Protect Shield here? They do not. The opponent is now going to be switch locked. I am not. However, I haven't really got a great answer for Licky. My Shadow Claw is double resisted here, and Dewgong will be taking super effective from the rollouts. We actually reached a foul play. They send out Fearow with 2 shields, usually a pretty terrifying Pokemon, but unfortunately not when I'm using Shadow Dewgong. The opponent recognises they cannot win the match and they are going to concede. In the next battle we saw a fantastic lead. However, I've actually got an even harder answer. I did attempt to catch onto Dewgong. I'm not entirely sure why game said no, but it is what it is. I'm going to shield on Aquatal and look to maintain alignment, or I should say flip alignment, as I'm actually going to look to put Diggersby onto Corsola, which is an absolutely unlosable matchup, completely unlosable. I think it's so commanding that Diggersby probably wins in the 0-2 shield. They actually send out Corsola, invest 1 protection and trainer. You aren't getting that farm down. The opponent in an absolutely awful spot. Not that they know that yet, of course. The only Pokemon they've seen is Sableye. We now send out the big fat bunny. They pivot out into Fortress. Oh boy, trainee should just top left. Fire punch going to be double super effective. The opponent invests the Protect Shield. I'm not entirely sure what you're thinking, trainer. Santomb. No. That simply isn't going to cut it. Diggersby reaches yet another double super effective fire punch. Almost a one-hit KO. Quick switch into Dewgong. Able to Ice Shard farm down. And the opponent doesn't want the smoke and they concede the match. In the next battle, we see the Steel Penguin in the lead position. A somewhat problematic Pokemon. Again, we see a Quagsire save switch. Unlike the last battle, this time I'm able to successfully catch. I guess the moral of the story is if at first you don't succeed, try and try again. Drill Run at Shadow and Shadow Crime does decent damage, but unfortunately not enough damage to Ice Shard farm down before the Stone Edge is reached. However, I'm more than content to invest this Protect Shield. Now, if the Steel Penguin returns, I'll likely force my Protect Shield back. The opponent's already seen Drill Run. They know it's going to be super effective, and the Steel Penguin is one very glassy boy. You can see if this was Shadow and Shadow Crime, it would have put him into the red health range. The opponent fire off the Drill Peck simply not going to cut it. We reach yet another Drill Run goes on Shieldo, pivot into Sableye, and out comes the ever annoying Marshmallow. Come on, trainer, it's just a Drain Punch. It is just a Drain Punch. We fire off the Dazzling Gleam, able to land. We even reached a foul play too. A foul play, not going to do much of anything, but should force a shield. The opponent like, nah, fuck you. We're not shielding a resisted foul play. Fine, have it your way, trainer. Save them shields for next season. And as you're on a Wigglytuff, get wrecked. Heading into the final battle of today's video, we see the Shadow Sableye mirror. I would say surprising, but it's probably not that surprising. Everyone out here hunting Mimikyu. I guess you've either got to use the meta or look to beat it, and it's nice to see other trainers thinking anti-meta rather than basic bitch or run PV Poke's #1 ranked pick. The opponent fires off back-to-back Drain Punches, Diggersby able to withstand the damage, but as they're now at +2, despite it being Shadow and Shadow Crime, Scorching Sands are simply not going to cut it. The opponent finally makes a pivot out into Jumpluff, but switch time is so heavily misaligned. This Jumpluff is going to be switch locked, and this is Shadow and Shadow Crime. Look at the Ice Shard damage. The question now becomes, do 3 Ice Shards knock out 1, 2, 3? That was an absolute assassination. Dewgong leaves absolutely loaded, and this energy is going to be very, very useful as this Stunfisk in the back. The opponent shields the Icy Wind, pivot out into Sableye, but this is just going to feed me yet more energy. The opponent fires off the Drain Punch. Despite Discharge being a shit move, it is going to do less. Back out comes the Pancake, and this time they're going to be unable to reset this debuff. We fire off the Icy Wind, able to land. We reach the Drill Run to Dewgong, absolutely popping off to end today's video, sweeping the entire team. GG's, and thanks for playing. And that is just about going to wrap things up for today's video. I think Shadow Dewgong is actually pretty damn good, to be honest. It actually quite surprised me. I thought I'd be very bored and very frustrated using such a bulky, slow Pokemon. You can see its damage output is actually pretty impressive. I'd 100% recommend you looking to get one yourself. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing. If you like your battles featured on my channel, a link to the battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.